If you landed here because you searched EFT tapping for anxiety, I'm going to do something that I know we really shouldn't. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume a couple of things. First, your body feels like it's on high alert and you may be experiencing things like tight chest, buzzing limbs, brain doing laps at all hours of the day and night. Second, you want something you can do to help alleviate your anxiety right now, not something that requires incense, a personality transplant, or a 12-week deep dive into your childhood. And if we're even mildly on the same wavelength, keep your eyes peeled, because I'm going to be sharing a beginner routine that you can do in about 5 minutes and experience a whole lot of relief. It's simple, practical and science-backed, and most importantly, comes without the woo. So just in case you've ended up here with no idea what I'm blathering on about this week, in a nutshell, EFT tapping for anxiety is a technique where you tap specific acupressure points while focusing on what you feel to help your nervous system downshift. And here's what you're going to discover in this week's podcast episode: what EFT tapping is and what it isn't, why anxiety is a body state, not your identity, a beginner 5-minute tapping routine that you can do anywhere, what to say while tapping so it actually works, the 3 mistakes that make tapping feel like pointless finger drumming, FAQs, does it work, how often, panic attacks, and tapping points. But first, let me take you on a little side trek down memory lane. So about 8 years ago, I was walking my 2 furry boys, a Staffy and American Bulldog, and in our local woods, another dog, a chocolate lab, appeared out of nowhere, no owner in sight, and attacked my dogs. Now, because I have a bad habit of acting first and thinking about the consequences at some point in the long distance future, I dived into the middle of the fight. The owner, a male, appeared mid-tussle and just stood to the side, pathetically saying the dog's name and letting me try to handle the entire thing. Suffice to say, I ended up with a Labrador-sized gouge out of my right arm. But thankfully, my boys were pretty much bite and scratch free. Unfortunately, the next day, the boys were attacked by a Bernese mountain dog in the same woods. The day after that, they were attacked by a yellow lab in a local park. So by day 4 of this very awful week, I developed full-blown PTSD. Now, even the thought of picking up the dog leads would send me into a panic, heart racing, blood pounding, clammy hands, non-stop replaying the events in my mind. So I did what all the expert anxiety sufferers do. I just avoided the problem. So a couple of days later, I decided to stop being such a wet and use some of the techniques that I had in my arsenal to deal with the PTSD, get my ass back outside. At this time, I'd only heard of EFT but dismissed it as hocus pocus nonsense, because if it was as good as everybody claims, then I'd have been taught it as part of my psychology clinical modules. Right? Which left me with something called exposure response, which is when you repeatedly expose yourself to the fearful stimulus and use nervous system techniques to retrain your mind that the thing is not actually scary. It's a powerful cognitive behavioral therapy technique, but the problem with it is it takes a really long time. So by week 4, after the dog week from hell, I was able to pick up the leads and get the dogs out the back door and down the drive, but that's as far as I went. Poor Matt was having to pick up the slack and do both the morning and afternoon walks. So frustrated with the prospect of another 8 weeks or so until I was able to walk the dogs by myself, I hit the books. Okay, well, not the books, but scientific journal databases on the internet. So scouring the reference sections, because this is where the real goldmine of information lives, I came across the reference to emotional freedom technique, or tapping. Seeing a reference to something I dismissed, cited in a very respectable journal, made me stop and reconsider my 12-month dismissal. So I fell down the rabbit hole. And what I discovered was insane. Things like it's been used around the world for over 25 years as a viable mental health recovery protocol. There's 300 peer-reviewed studies, including more than 200 clinical trials, including 100 randomized control trials, have shown significant reductions in anxiety, PTSD, pain, and trauma-related distress. It was validated as an effective method of treatment by the American Psychiatric Association, been shown to alter a person on a biological level, including positively affecting gene expression, brain synchrony, hormonal synthesis, and a wide range of other biomarkers. It's proven effective, whether delivered in person or virtually. Evidence-based, long-standing positive benefits associated with reductions in symptoms. It's safe, rapid, reliable, and effective treatment for psychological and physiological disorders. So naturally, my first reaction was annoyance, especially when I discovered many universities in the UK had been petitioning the NHS since 2016 to run clinical trials, and the NHS said, No. 10 years on, and they are only just now using it, like literally since February 2026. And in my opinion, this is because of places like YouTube forced them into it by people having to seek help where they could access it. Anyways, back to my EFT discovery and my crazy non-recommended plan. So the next designated dog walk, I came with an idea designed to both test EFT and hopefully solve my issues in one fell swoop. So when we got to the bottom of the drive and I handed Matt the dog leads, I'd follow behind him, and anytime I felt the anxiety rise, I'd tap. I also had him far enough ahead that he could see oncoming dogs, especially those off the leads, and give me a heads up. And it's so funny to think about it now. A 6-foot gym buff tattooed man walking 2 dogs shouting dog, and then about 20 foot behind a 5'4" strawberry blonde lass looking like she was having some type of weird spasm. But I didn't care back then, and I absolutely do not care now, because the most insane thing happened. The next day, I took the dogs for a walk on my own, no panic, no fear, just breathe deeply and went. After that, I became a tapping queen. Every slight niggle of negative emotion, and it was like my fingers had a mind of their own. Since then, it's been a firm feature in any therapy I've done. And before I give you a 5-minute fix, I just want to clear up a few things. Firstly, what EFT actually is. So EFT, emotional freedom technique, sometimes just called tapping, is a method where you tap with your fingertips on specific pressure points on your face and your body while focused on your emotional state and saying aloud things that are coming to your mind. You're not manifesting, you're definitely not pretending you're fine, you are in essence giving your nervous system a pattern interrupt. Secondly, how EFT tapping works for anxiety. So anxiety is not a personality trait, identity, or psychological phenomenon, it's a body state. It happens automatically anytime your threat system is triggered, which can happen whether you've received a text message from somebody you don't like or you're being chased through the jungle by a lion. Your body doesn't care what the threat is, it just reacts. As part of that reaction, your breathing changes, your muscles brace, and your brain constantly stands for danger and develops dramatic disaster movie scripts about your future, starting the process all over again. Tapping gives your system 2 messages at once. First, your mind knows this is what I'm feeling. Second, your body knows we're safe enough to come down a notch, which is really powerful. And the evidence shows that EFT is not just the placebo effect in full swing. With you feeling better because I tried something, it creates scientifically validated, measurable shifts. Oh, and disclaimer, you have to use it when you need it. Once is never going to undo your 30 plus years of trauma. And if you want more than one routine, like advanced EFT protocols for habits, motivation, and emotional loops, that's inside the Happiness Hacks Lab, and you'll find the link in the show notes below. Now, the reason you're really here, your 5-minute EFT tapping routine for anxiety. But before you start anything, you do need to do a super quick 10-second emotional check-in. So rate your anxiety right now from 0 to 10. 0, what anxiety? 5, hit and miss. 10, full-blown spiral, which may end up with you thinking those heart palpitations or a heart attack and rushing to NT. And yes, I've been there. So you'll do the same thing again once you've been through the process. Measuring, testing, and understanding whether something's working for you is vital. So please don't skip this bit. Now, the best thing about EFT is you can literally do it anywhere. It works wonders and it costs you nothing. Okay, well, maybe there's a slight dent in other people's perceptions of you if you do it in public, but would you rather people you don't know or care about thought you were weird, or your anxiety continues to ruin your life? So here goes, the 5-minute EFT routine with a twist. So step number 1, pick your focus, keep it simple. Choose one emotion, and this is the twist that makes it more effective. So something like this fear, this dread, this anger, this panic, this guilt, please don't overthink it. Just focus on the most dominant emotion swirling around your emotional jumble right now. You're not writing a novel or auditioning for the next round of Britain's Got Talent. Step number 2. Setup phrase. This is on your karate chop point. So tap the squishy bit on the side of your hand under your little finger, and it doesn't matter which hand. And when tapping, say this phrase 3 times. Even though I feel this, insert the emotion right now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now, this phrase may trigger you in itself. Please just persevere. It does matter. Step 3, tap the points, and 1 short phrase each. So tap each point around 7 times each. But you don't need to worry about counting. Just tap while you're talking and you'll do it enough. Say a short phrase that matches what's going on in your mind. And it doesn't matter what it is, how weird it sounds, or how irrelevant it seems to your situation. Whatever you say is right for you. It's your experience, it's your mind quirk. Below are some examples, but if they're not true for you, they will do nothing to help. You can start whichever point you choose. It really doesn't matter. You can tap on a single point, but please be careful. You have to know which point matches that emotion. And so it's much easier to just tap like a crazy person. So go around and around as many times as you feel like you need to. And after the fifth thing you say, you'll be getting to the key beliefs attached to that emotion. Now, most people tend to dry up somewhere in the third round, and that's completely cool. You actually don't need to complete it. Just go until you're struggling to say something. So here's a simple example round, and we're going to start on the top of the head. So I don't understand why I can never do what I need to do. Then we go to the outside of the eyebrow. Why is everything so hard all the time? On the inside of the eyebrow, why does it bother me so much what XYZ said? Under the eye, I don't even care what they think. Under the nose, I'm so, insert emotion with myself for, insert the thing that you did or didn't do. On the chin, why didn't I learn the last time? On the collarbone, I just seem to make the same mistakes over and over. And under the arm, will life ever get better than this? So there's a lifelike pictorial representation of me on the screen showing all of the key points in a 9:16 format, so you can keep it as a screen grab and laugh at it. I mean, use it anytime you need to remind yourself of the points. Step number 4, re-rate yourself between 0 and 10. So take a deep breath and check your emotional charge again from 0 to 10. And if it only dropped 1 point, awesome work. Though chances are it may have dropped more than 1, and the ugly truth of the words inside your mind is what will have made this work. Step number 5, tap in what's true. The positive round. Now, because we don't want to leave you where your mind may be tempted to wander back to those thoughts that we've just flushed out, we do need to finish on a high. So now we need to tap in some affirmations. And the best affirmations, much like the best things to tap out, are the ones which are true for you. They don't have to be grand or show-stopping. They just have to be real. And here's an example round. So again, on the top of the head, I'm grateful for the opportunity to create emotional space in my life. On the outside of the eyebrow, in this moment, I am safe. Inside of the eyebrow, I have the capacity to change my future by the actions I take right now. Under the eye, I'm strong enough to take the first small step, whatever that may be. Under the nose, I survived my past and this shows how strong I am. On the chin, I'm thankful for the opportunity to grow and change. On the collarbone, I accept my past and take responsibility for my future. Under the arm, I am the best version of myself. Now, if anything you say on the positive round triggers a negative emotion, you need to tap through it. Now, follow the negative train of thought and come back to the positive. Now, I know, I said 5 minutes. And if you were anything like me, when I first started tapping, you'll be doing it multiple times a day. But that is actually beautiful because every time you tap through the things that cause you emotional turbulence, you're releasing it. And this, my dear friend, is you actually healing. Now, one of my clients embraced EFT so much that her kids thought she was experiencing the same type of bowel upset which comes from doing the 3 tablespoons of olive oil a day for weight loss craze because she was embarrassed and kept locking herself in the loo. And here's 3 beginner mistakes that make tapping feel pointless. First, trying to be positive too soon. Now, please don't start with things like, I'm calm, confident, and in control, because your body ain't stupid and it's just going to press that giant red bullshit button that you have to start with what's true. Number 2, using somebody else's script like it's a spell. Like, if the words don't match your experience, your system is not going to shift. Like, it literally can't. If you've never had PTSD over being attacked by a dog, saying something like, it's safe to be around dogs, which aren't my own, will do nothing. The same as if you pick an emotion which you aren't feeling. So defaulting to anxiety when you feel pure blind rage will shift nothing and probably see you being even more rageful. Use your words, use your experience, and use your truth. Thirdly, treating tapping like a one-off miracle. Yes, I and many others experienced life-changing moments due to a single round of tapping. However, just because my dog-related PTSD shifted, the rest of the crap and trauma I was still holding on to, like it was the winning lottery ticket, was still there. One and done is not the solution. Plus, tapping works best before you hit the tipping point. Use it early. Use it very often. Use it daily as part of your routine. Now, because everybody has questions when I do episodes like this, here's a little FAQ section all about EFT tapping for anxiety. Question number 1. Does EFT tapping really work for anxiety? Well, over 25 years and 300 different studies show efficacy for psychological disorders such as anxiety, PTSD, pain and trauma-related distress. It's not a miracle cure, it's a useful tool to have in your regulation box. Question 2, how long does EFT tapping take to work? Now, sometimes you'll feel a shift in minutes, sometimes you need a few rounds, but the goal is a drop in intensity, not instant perfection. And if you've had quite a few traumatic moments in your past, then this has been left to build up over time. You're probably going to need to do multiple rounds. But it isn't a race. Just commit to doing it once a day for 5 minutes, then check in and see how you're feeling in a few weeks from now. Even now, 8 is on, I still tap regularly. So this helps me keep my mind clear and stops the daily grind from wearing me down. Question 3, what if I feel silly doing it? Well, you're not the only one. You look silly, but I urge you to do it anyway. Feeling silly is definitely a trade-up compared to spiraling out of control. Question 4, can I do tapping every day? 100%. Daily use often works much better than saving it for emergencies. Gary Craig, the creator, was inspired by the effectiveness of EMDR therapy, but saddened at its inability to be used outside of a therapy setting. EFT was specifically created to be self-used, though sometimes, if there's deep trauma, it can be useful to seek support from a trained professional as well. That said, I never sought help from anybody else, just barreled through my trauma, experimenting on myself every step of the way. Question 5, can tapping replace therapy or medication? Not always. For some people it's enough, for others it's one tool in a bigger plan. Medication changes should always be done with a trained professional to ensure the withdrawals don't cause you harm. Question 6, what are the tapping points for anxiety? Well, the classic EFT tapping points per Gary Craig's basic recipe are top of the head, outside of the eyebrow, inside of the eyebrow, under the eye, under the nose, on the chin, on the collarbone, and under the arm. Now, if you can only remember one, try using the collarbone. It's easy, discreet, and works for most people. So question number 7, does tapping work for panic attacks? Absolutely can help reduce the intensity of panic attack by helping to reharmonize the nervous system. But if you're in a full panic attack, keep your phrases very simple. Things like this panic, or just overwhelming, or can't think. Where you can, try to pair tapping with other regulation tools and see the podcast episode, How to Regulate Your Nervous System Fast, 9 body first tools that actually work. Question number 8, how often should I tap for anxiety? How long's a piece of string? Yeah, I know, it's really annoying when people say that, but it's true. Now, here's where you might consider weaving it into your routine to get the most out of it. Just tap at the first sign of escalation. Use it before known triggers, so meeting, school run, bedtime. Lean on it daily if you're in a high stress season. Most people do best with short and frequent rather than one long session. But again, that completely depends on your situation. For me and the dog PTSD, one full 45-minute walk and tapping constantly was perfect. For my client, she ended up looking like she had a dodgy curry, running off to the loo multiple times during the day. So your situation will determine what's right for you. And last but not least, question number 9, tapping for anxiety, is it the same as EFT? Yes, most people mean EFT when they say tapping. It's a branding thing, not a one thing works better than the other thing. And if you want help applying this properly, so not just random tapping when you remember, come to the Happiness Hacks Lab for advanced EFT protocols, plus the full regulation toolkit, and click the link in the description below. Make your first stop the video called Struggling with Anxiety, Do This.